From the 915 to H-Town, from the Panhandle Plains to the Valley, and everywhere in between. This is the 50/50 podcast, powered by National Scouting Report. Join me, Hector Cano, as we cover the Texas high school club and college soccer landscape, along with an inside look at the college soccer recruiting scene. The 50/50 podcast is a platform about the people and for the people who are dedicated to the beautiful game. Here we go. It's another edition of Inside Texas High School Soccer, Season 4, Episode 4. Welcome back. I am joined by the man, the myth, the legend, right? The Obi-Wan Kenobi of Texas high school soccer, Mr. Papa Socceritis himself. Rafa, what's going on, buddy?
Not much. Just coming here live from Del Rio.
Del Rio. Weren't you in Del Rio the last episode we did?
I think so.
I think you were, right? Yeah. Good old Del Rio. Awesome. How's the weather over there right now?
It was chilly last night. Just like I said, just your normal kind of border West Texas weather. But supposedly, I think on Thursday it's going to get to like 89 degrees.
Yeah. Yeah. Do we consider Del Rio West Texas?
It's like on the fringes of.
Del Rio's kind of one of those. Is it more still? I don't know, man. Where do you put it? It's not south, but I know it gets mentioned it kind of gets lumped in with south. Doesn't get really ever mentioned with west. So I don't know. Not that we're here to talk geography, but happy to have everybody here, and our good friend Harry Austin already giving us a little poke in the ribs here. So this is not a San Antonio Soccer Roundtable late start. This is a fashionably late start here. Okay, so yeah, man, it's good. How are things? I know you've been kind of all over the place, right? So tell us what's going on.
So yeah, just traveling here with work. Excuse me, work, and been working in this area. Then tomorrow morning, I actually leave about 7 a.m. I'm heading to Utopia, Texas,
Mm-hmm.
to meet with some students there, and then once I'm head back to San Antonio really quick, and then head off to Marble Falls, and I'll be there Tuesday, and then after that I'll be in the Waco area till
Yeah,
Thursday.
Utopia, awesome, good deal. And then leave it to the guy from Colorado to try to tell us where places are in Texas, right? Good old Harry there. So awesome, man. So, and before I forget, again, let us tell us we are brought to you, powered by our proud partners at NSR, National Scouting Report. You can get more information on what they're doing on their website at nsr-inc.com. You can also find more information on what they're about on social media, on Twitter X, as we call it, and at NSR Now, as well as on Instagram at NSR_NOW. And again, their website, nsr-inc.com. All right. So, hey, let's jump in. We are going to jump right in with, we are joined by Coach Alexander Adams of the two-time defending 4A Girls State Champions, the Salina Lady Bobcats. Coach, welcome.
Hey, boys. How we doing today?
Hey, man.
Coach, how are you?
We're doing great.
Hey,
we're doing great.
Hey, starting the podcast off with a question. You've got a bunch of teachers watching this thing. You're going to get a whole lot of stuff off of Twitter and email and whatnot to write about their theories about what Del Rio is now. So you opened up that can of worms, just so you guys know.
I know. I never know what to refer to it as because it's so inconsistent, right? And then,
Right.
And then, of course, naturally, we got a guy from Colorado here telling us where cities are in Texas. So that just adds more fuel to the fire, of course. So awesome. So, Coach, how are things?
We're every week our team's getting better and better. We've got a young team this year, and it's exciting to see the progress that the team's made, and we're kind of got our back line pretty solid. Piece that's been in place for a while, so we've got a little bit of mix of the old and young, and so far so good. We're keeping the line towards where we want to be, and hopefully it keeps going that way.
Yeah, awesome, good deal. So I know it's been an interesting year for you guys this year, right? Because it hasn't been just the traditional last few years of just Salina just Absolutely, just demolishing everybody. But that said, you guys are playing just a whole other level of schedule this year. Tell us what that's been like.
Yeah, we really wanted to go out and kind of see what what we could do. I knew the team was going to be young this year, but I also knew that we have the leadership in place. Particularly Brooklyn Bab and McKenna Brantley, the two seniors that are going to be graduating this year that have been on the back line these last 2 years, and then now this third year. And I really wanted to see if we could be tested and survive it. And coming from in all things perspective, a 4A school going out and playing some of these bigger opponents and
Right.
hanging in there, was it was awesome.
Yeah.
That we knew that we had the talent to be able to do something, and we just had to continue to improve throughout the season. And I think we're starting to see that every week we're improving. Uh, so much on the offensive side to where at the beginning of the year it was definitely the defensive side. Well, and I'd say still is, our strongest point. The
Right.
people are having a hard time scoring against us. You looked at Prosper had a hard time scoring against us. They only beat us 1-0. Grapevine scored a literally last 20 seconds of the game goal to be able to beat us. So that was tied 1-1 almost through the whole game. And
Right.
a quality team in Walnut Grove too that we tied 1-1 and lost in PKs in the tournament. So definitely been a battle, but it was a battle that I think that we were ready to take on, and a lot of it has to do with our defense. That our defense has been really hard to get scored
Yeah.
on this.
Yeah. Yeah, and and speaking of your defense, right? Because we're going to look at 4A Region 2 here in a second while we have you on, but you talk about that defense, the back line, and then of course the player of yours, right? Great stud of yours there, manning in between the pipes there, Caitlin Gustafson. We know she recently announced decommitting from her original verbal commitment to SFA. Tell us a little bit about what's going on there in terms of what you can speak, because we definitely, she's been a big fan of the podcast. We've been big supporters of her as well, and in any way, shape, or form, because we know there's college coaches listening to this, and that's going to be an unbelievable steal for some college program.
Yeah, to have somebody like her talent still available right now, in the last few months of the school year is kind of unheard of. That she's definitely capable of jumping into just about any Division I program here in the United States and holding her own. She's
Right.
excellent keeper. I can't tell you the number of times that she's stopped penalty kicks, and that's something that's not supposed to happen, and it happens all the time
Hmm.
with her. Her IQ on the field is remarkable. She not only knows how the goalkeeper position works, but also where the defense should be. Where a midfielder should be in certain places, and is somebody that is really a diamond in the rough here. And I really hope that she's able to find her home. Unfortunately, as you guys know, what happens whenever colleges change head coaches, it sometimes the new regime maybe just isn't the right fit for the player, and
Right.
they've got to make that tough decision as with both her and her family, that is this the thing that we want to do? Because it's a scary thing to
Correct.
the last year she's
Yeah.
where she's going to go to school, and that part of her life was a exhale. You didn't have to worry anymore. It was just, let's enjoy this last year of college, of high school soccer, and then go on to college. And then all of a sudden, with the new regime over there at SFA, was unfortunately her family's decision, and her to go and try to tread the waters again. But so far, as we all know, that we had that big ECNL tournament up here in Dallas this week, and my guess is she's probably getting some looks with that. And I also know that she's had quite a few other coaches that have reached out to her, that are expressed interest in having her come over to there. So my guess is that probably within the next couple of months, and this is just me shooting from the hip. I don't know. I can't speak on behalf of Caitlin, but probably within the next couple of months that she'll definitely have a commitment again with another school because she's just too dang good to
Yeah.
not be.
Yeah, no, and I firmly believe you're kind of being humble with in saying that, to be honest, because yeah, she's the real deal. And as we put it out there with her, we'll share this with you as well. There's anything we can do in support of her as well. Just just let us know because we definitely want to do everything we can to find her a home in terms of just such an outstanding goalkeeper, but just an amazing leader on your team that you've had in your program for 4 years now. So yeah, definitely here to help out in any way we can, Coach. As we transition here, Coach, we're going to look at so while we have you here, we're going to go ahead and look at 4A Region 2. One of the things we wanted to look at is we're going to naturally start with your district, District 11, and kind of give us the lay of the land, I guess, if you will, your thoughts of Region 2 for 4A be with your district and beyond your district.
We'll start with my district. In my opinion, well, is right now the way the standings are, the top four teams are us, Anna, uh, Aubrey, and Panther Creek. And really, over this next week, we play both Aubrey and Panther Creek.
Hmm.
So two out of the three teams we'll face this week, and at least for us, that'll give us a good idea um, of where we should be because if we've already beat Anna, and if we're able to win these two games, then we haven't necessarily locked it up, but should finish at least no worse than second after this week if we're lucky enough to beat these
Yeah.
two teams. And um, Anna's a tough team. Anna's even when we've looked like we're the world beaters, Anna's always played us the toughest. You look back that
Right.
it's never a gimme with them. They've got a coach over there that does his homework and really tries to find a way to beat us. And I know he's probably thinking about that game right now that this is something that he's about to move his team up to 5A, and that's kind of been one of the thorns in his side is that being able to beat our program. So I know that Anna is going to be a heck of a battle for us.
Yeah.
But in the grand scheme of things, if you really look at just the rankings and who all has played quality teams and all that, and all the Region 2 that really our district, it's kind of hard to say that our district isn't, in my opinion, the number one district in Region 2 and 4A. It just the quality of teams. I think being close to the Dallas-Fort Worth area obviously has a lot to do with the quality being a little bit higher than a lot of the other districts around the region. And just in my opinion, it's the better district out of Region 2. And if you look, the last 2-3 years, I mean, we've had in the last 3 years, you've had somebody from our district, which is of course Salina. When we lost in the year before I got there, lost to Midlow Heritage in the state semifinal. Our teams represented District 11 4A the last 3 years in the state tournament. And you rewind back even more that whenever Melissa was still in our district, I mean, we were playing Melissa in the region final every year, and Anna was right there. We played them in the region final, last year, and they were in the region semifinal the last 2 years as well. So it's kind of hard to argue and say that we aren't the toughest district in the region, in my opinion.
Right. Yeah, and when you look at obviously we're waiting on Rafa to come back and join us, but one of the things I guess when you look around and of course Aubrey, we switched to this new graphic and Aubrey's not pictured here in your district, but one of the newer programs in all of Texas high school soccer. But when you look around, right, you look at some of the other districts. What are some of the programs that you see improving at the 4A level, maybe that you can highlight that you want to maybe pay some kudos to? Anyone in any other surrounding districts? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's real easy for me because we play both the teams, and it's Bullard and Jacksonville. Those are definitely the two teams that everybody, in my opinion, else in the region two has got to worry about because they're both quality programs. And Bullard, they gave us a pretty tough battle there. First half, whenever we were playing them, it was 0-0 at halftime, and we were lucky enough to come out and get a couple on them in the second half. But they really got a team there that can hang with just about anybody. And Jacksonville's again another team that out there that I feel that can battle with the best of them throughout the region. I mean, it's a tough. Going to be a tough battle for those two because I believe that those two guys they'll end up running into each other before regionals in the playoffs. So I'll be curious to see what happens there.
Yeah. Yeah. Rafa, I don't know. I know you can hear us. I don't know if you can come through now. You're having some technical issues. Any questions, thoughts for Coach Adams? Nothing.
No.
Yeah, we're getting nothing there. Getting no audio. So I know you can hear us, but we're getting no audio in return there. So we'll let you continue to fix that. So, Coach, this has been great. Have really, really loved having you here. Again, we talked about wishing you the absolute best going forward. We we know you're going to be in the conversation for sure down the stretch, closing out your district as well as the state playoffs. I'll say it for you because I know you're not going to say it. So right, but and then of course we talked about Caitlin Gustafson, just to name a few, just one of the many talented athletes student athletes you have there at Salina. But also, just again, we've talked about it hasn't been a prototypical year for you all but when you look at your schedule on paper and you start to see, can't just look at results, can't just look at the record, but you see who you all have actually played. You guys have been playing some of the big boys, if you will, of the 6A world, and not just not just happy to be there, but really truly competing with them every step of the way. They've been tight matches, as you mentioned. So yeah, wish you the absolute best. And before we let you go, I know it's been a minute since we had you on here. Just kind of want to give you the opportunity, shout outs, thank yous, anything you'd like to share. The floor is yours, Coach.
Well, first shout out to you guys. Again, I always try to make sure to give props to you guys that being able to highlight high school soccer here in Texas is something that's really cool, and I hope everybody out there in the internet really appreciates what these guys are doing because it's remarkable. And just want to say thanks to all the fans out there in Bobcat Nation, all my athletes that are putting in the work this year. It's been a little bit harder road, but I really feel that we're steering the course. And of course, thanks to my wife and kiddo Olivia for putting up with me and all these long nights this time of year. But hopefully, we got a couple more months ahead of these long nights, and maybe the end of April we'll come home with another medal. So we'll see.
Right. Well, now we do know, right? We do know that you have strong San Antonio ties, right? Given what you've told us from your wife's side of the family. When's the next time you're going to be down in this neck of the woods?
Yeah, it may be in spring break, so we may be down there in that area. Yeah, going down and hang out.
Yeah.
Get some Bill Millers. There's nothing better than a Bill Miller sweet tea. We all know that out there.
Oh, yeah. Right? Yeah, sweet tea is, and I'm not a tea guy, and I can tell you it's good, right? I'm not a sweet tea guy, but it's definitely very good. So, Coach, thank you again. He is Coach Alexander Adams, the head women's soccer coach of the two-time defending state champion Salina Lady Bobcats. Coach, thank you again. Appreciate your time.
Thank you. You guys have a good evening.
Take care. All right. Looks like we got I got my partner in crime back. Rafa, can you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
There you are. Good deal. Good deal. Awesome. So technical difficulties, right? That's always the occasional issue with when you have live programming, but glad to have you back. So we've had the 4A Region 2 graphic up here for a minute now. Anyone else you kind of want to highlight before we move on to 5A Region 2?
I know, well, with the girls, like he mentioned about Anna being a contender, Bullard, and and even that tie they had with Panther Creek, which they're playing this on Tuesday. So they got
Correct.
some contenders there that can threaten their three-peat. And then I guess looking at also on the boys' side, I'm sure the Salina boys also are looking to kind of equal what the girls have done the last couple of years, get back into that state tournament. Um, like I said, there's some good teams on there, like that Kilgore team. Keep an eye on them. They're gonna be one to probably challenge them. And so, like I said, you got a couple other ones there too
Right.
as well, like
Yeah.
Jacksonville, Madisonville. Like I said,
Mhm.
they beat Palestine. Like I said, that's the only Palestine's only district loss, and like I said, Palestine as well too. So a lot of
Yeah.
good contenders for the boys side.
Yeah, and you've had some strong, some strong programs in here too that are kind of they're showing some serious consistency. Obviously, District 16 and Palestine on the boys' side, to name one, and some other contenders, some other teams, that are starting to find themselves. We talk about the Kilgores, Kilgores of the world in here as well, just to name a few. But just wanted to give you a chance to see if there was anybody else you wanted to mention before. And of course, we got our good friend, Coach Tipton, over in District 13, Sulphur Springs. Both programs are very strong there. District 13, the Sulphur Springs Wildcats. And yeah, I mean, just some sneaky good districts here in this region, I think. And for those of you that aren't as familiar with 4A, very easy to look past a lot of very strong programs and a lot of very good coaching that's happening in a lot of these districts as well. So, all right. So we'll go ahead. We'll move on. So we'll go now. See if we can go over to changes over here to 5A Region 2. And here we go. So 5A Region 2. Go ahead, make a little bit larger of a graphic here. So again, we have switched to our new graphics here in terms of the regions. So in the event the occasional one of the new programs might occasionally be missed, we'll make sure we're efforting to make sure that we fix that. But yeah, this makes it a little bit more pleasant to at least see compared to the gigantic PDF that we're always trying to navigate. So 5A Region 2, Coach, thoughts? Anyone you want to highlight?
Well, you have defending state champion Lone Star. Like I said, what can you say about them? They're looking forward to trying to defend their title. But like I said, you got Wakeland, Reedy. Like I said, that's pretty much one of the toughest districts. And like I said, District 9 is probably one of the toughest ones in the state for 5A. But then the one that doesn't get a lot of love is the District 10, the other half of the first school schools. And so far, you have had like Heritage and Centennial have been making some noise, and
Mhm.
they may have a little thing to say as far as which first school team actually makes it to Georgetown.
Right.
But then you got some other teams too as well in the like I said in the area. Um, like I said, you got Mount Pleasant. They've had some good squads in the past. A Longview, look at Corsicana. And then you got a couple McKinney North. Keep an eye on them. Also, Lucas Lovejoy. There's also some two
Right.
teams that can sneak up on anybody. So Region 2 for 5A is going to be very, very. Like I said, you know, so it could be like I said, you could literally see some prizes on there, but like I said, it's very top heavy as far as some powerhouses in that region.
Mhm. Yeah, agree, completely agree. I think you look at this one and it's really easy to just really dial in on districts 9 and 10, particularly District 9, because recent history has shown that the winner of District 9 is going to be a strong contender to make a run at the state tournament, right? So rightfully so, they've earned their stripes, if you will, when it comes to that. So the question will be is who will come out of these other remaining 7 districts to challenge, maybe the top 2 or 3 that'll come out of District 9. So all right, and then we're gonna go ahead. Got one more here that we're going to navigate over to and make sure we can get it here. So we're gonna move over onto 6A. And here we go. So 6A Region 2. Thoughts on this one, Coach?
It's kind of, like I said, there's a mixture of different teams that can. I know Region One pretty much kind of gets a lot of the attention, but you got
Right.
some good teams also in Region Two. I mean, you're looking, like Garland Saskey, great team. Keep an eye on them. Mesquite Horn actually been making noise, even though Rockville Heath has had kind of the attention the last couple of years. You also have Duncanville, as far as we're talking about boys side right now.
Hmm.
Duncanville is another one. But then you have your other half is the Houston area teams, and you got some great Houston area teams like Klein Oak, and then your Cy Falls teams too as well. Bridgeland's another one.
Right.
The Woodlands, College Park. So it's just another tough region here. But this time you got two metropolitan areas they're going to collide,
Hmm.
here in the playoffs. And you said you're going to have some Dallas versus Houston matchups, like in
Yeah.
round 2 and 3, and also into the regionals.
Yeah. I was going to say, particularly at the six, given the nature of 6A, this is a very intriguing region for that very reason, which you just talked about, right? You have the greater DFW and Houston metro areas finding each other here in rounds, probably in what your area regional quarterfinal rounds and forward. So you get some very intriguing matchups here. We look on the girls' side, right? You have Wiley, kind of bookended here. You have a pair of monsters here in District 9, Wiley East, District 16, Bridgeland, right? I feel like Wiley East has been one of the most consistent programs probably over the last 3 to 4 years in 6A, and still building and trying to have that big breakthrough year in the playoffs, right? Bridgeland, we've talked about them before, and I know we'll talk about them more during the RPI, but seems like a very consistent program that isn't always necessarily getting not the respect, but probably the love that it should, right? So, and then we look at District 15, uh, the Klein, right? The Klein schools is that's kind of an interesting one. Is who's going to emerge from there? But yeah, I think the big piece here, the big takeaway, boys and girls side, is that you have the DFW metro area and the greater Houston metro area that will be colliding here in your area regional quarterfinal rounds and beyond.
Yeah, and you got, like I said, other teams like Tomball Memorial. That's another team to kind of keep an eye out. This is, like I said, one of the two rare occasions because, like I said, Region 4 is kind of the same way too with
Hmm.
San Antonio and Austin, and then you have the kind of like the Rio Grande Valley. But this is, like I said, you have two, like I said, metropolitan areas that are going to be colliding in the playoffs.
Yeah, that's what makes this one very unique, right? When you're talking about programs that size from areas that big. So yeah, for sure. All right, so moving on. Next one. So we covered a little bit of region. Again, thanks to, in case you missed it, if you're just joining us, Coach Alexander Adams of the Salina Lady Bobcats joined us to talk a little bit about Region 2, talk about his district as well at the 4A level. I think we've clearly established just that some great soccer is being played at the 4A level, and I think we see that in two phases, right? Is excuse me, sorry. You see that in two phases. Is one, you see the 4A, you see a lot of these strong 4A programs, they're putting themselves out there and they're challenging themselves. They're competing against very big, very strong traditional powers at the 5A and 6A level. And then the other thing you see, one thing that cannot be forgotten for those of you that aren't as familiar with 4A, is we have some 3A programs and in some cases, some maybe 2A programs that they're playing at the 4A level, right? So kudos to those programs as well. We know we have some coming in on the horizon in the next couple of years as well. What are your thoughts on that, Coach?
I think that just shows the growth of the soccer programs all over the state. I mean, it's not like with football where you kind of need. I know need 11 players, but you have to have some depth here. You got at least have maybe close to like a team of 30 to
Hmm.
compete. But when it comes to high school soccer, if you have at least 15, that's enough players to start a team. Either whether you're a 2A or 3A. that's enough to start a varsity team, and then end up building the program from there. You know, once you're, a lot of these towns are growing, especially like I said in that region too, north of Dallas.
Right.
You look at Salina's kind of growing. Anna, that he mentioned about Anna moving up, and these were a few years ago towns that were 2As, 3As. Now they're growing, and like I said, they're adding. Like I said, the popularity of the sport, it's kind of catching on to. I think even you went to a playoff game for basketball for MacArthur, at Luling, and Luling
Mm,
started a soccer team, and they're only a 2A. So
yeah.
I know they're playing like kind of like a little rogue schedule right now, and then I'm sure we're gonna see them in 4A next, in the once they make the realignment for the 4A soccer teams.
Yeah, yeah, it was interesting being there at Luling, over the weekend. Great, great facilities from what I got to see there too. So, all right, coach, that's going to bring us up next to kind of our bread and butter here. We're going to bring on these. So, the latest edition, right, as of today, right, the RPIs, the Rafa Power Index for, I think our last one was end of the month, right? I think it was January
Mhm.
29th was our last one. And so the way these work, in case you're joining us for the first time, we're not familiar with the RPI ratings here. So the Rafa Power Index, kind of, we look at it in a totally different light. It's looked at, and Rafa himself compiles these through data, games watched, game reports, talking with coaches as well, film in some cases as well. And then of course just factoring in the strength of the programs, the pedigree of the programs, the number of returning letter winners that they have as well. So a number of factors, but this is not based on a 4A, 5A, 6A scale or even on a regional scale. This is looked at across the state, regardless of classification. We try to put what is in theory maybe the top 15 pound for pound programs across the state, for both the boys and the girls, and then with an additional the next five in that are kind of knocking on the door, strong programs, honorable mentions, if you will. So, Coach, go ahead, take us away with our. Let's look at our first five here in the latest edition of the girls RPI.
Yeah, so this is tough. Like I said, this is tough to kind of create a list. Like I said, it's not a separate, like you mentioned, 4 or 5A, 6A list. This is pound for pound. These are who I think, doing the research and all that, the best teams in the state, regardless of classification. So you look at the first five. Um, South Lake Curls, like I said, what can you say about them? They're at 17-0. You would think they would have an off year losing a couple key players, but they don't rebuild, they reload there. So I think they got something to prove, and I think they want to get that championship back that they thought they should have gotten last year. Another consistent team that's been making noise the last few years has been Wiley East. Wiley East wants to get back to where it was last year, and they're doing so. They're in a tough district with their, like I said, with their crosstown rival Wiley High. That's always a good matchup for them. One that's really kind of creeped up, it's Frisco Wakeland. They're starting to kind of about and get everything together. They're undefeated so far. The last few years, like last year was kind of a little disappointment, but this year you can see that they're starting to get the pieces together. And then what we mentioned about Bridgeland, one of the top teams in Region 2 for 5A, year in and year out. So they're going to be challenging there as well. And then Colleyville Heritage, like I said, like the background on them, like I said, they've always had one of the best soccer programs, for the girls in the last few years. A little
Yeah,
setback there, a couple of ties, and I noticed this from this go around. There was a lot of ties,
yeah,
it just shows the competitiveness in district play. Like I said, a lot of these teams are already in the middle of district play. So, like I said, and some of them are already starting round two. And when you get to district play, that's when you really kind of show your cards, and you start game playing it against teams that maybe or they're favored against you, and you, like I
yeah.
said, you got to take care of business when it comes to this.
Right. And so we as we look at 1 through 5 here, South Lake Carroll right now, definitely looking like a team on a mission who also has a, I guess you could say, maybe a chip on their shoulder from how things finished for them last year, right? Looking extremely strong. And I think, when you look at 2, 3, 4, and 5, Wiley East, Wakeland, Bridgeland, Colleyville Heritage, Colleyville Heritage, just another program, just consistent, right? And I think you can make the argument for these five, and then you maybe add, um, I don't know, you can make the argument for 2 or 3 other programs in here, but you can easily make the argument that these top 5 that you have in here right now in the RPI may be have been the most consistent girls programs over maybe the last 3 to 4 years, right? So there's something to be said about that. And then you talk about the only or 2 5As in that group, right? We mentioned Colleyville Heritage and of course Wakeland, right? Frisco Wakeland. Um, so yeah, back to that district that we talked about as well. So, all right, coach, let's go ahead. Let's look at 6 through 10.
Yeah, 10. Like I said, you got actually a couple teams that are in the same district. You got Hebron at 13-1-2, and then you have Farmont at 10-1, who recently had a loss. That District 6 is just, like I said, it's just brutal. And it's a playoff game. It's actually, to me, it's like a regional final every game in that district. So um, like I said, kind of pick your poison there as far as which teams could it, contend against, maybe a South Lake Curly in Region
Mhm.
One. Then you have, like I said, probably I think the best teams right now in the San Antonio area is San Antonio Johnson. They're at 12-1. Recently, you saw them play against Reagan, and they lived up to everything. They pretty much dominated that game, and keep an eye on them on Region 4. Is this the year that they kind of break that Austin Ron Rock curse? That ends up, one we've had the last couple of years go to Georgetown.
Mhm.
Could they be the first San Antonio team that finally punches their ticket there? Another great team is Allen, and Allen, like I said, great start, 12-1-1, and then the last year, pretty much one of the powerhouses the last few years, Midlothian, that they're at 13-2.
Right. Yeah. And Hebron is Hebron. They're another consistent power. Flower Mound as well. It's just great, strong, solid programs getting it done at the 6A level. And then, excuse me, you mentioned at number 8, San Antonio Johnson. Think you're going to be pretty hard pressed to get an argument from anybody right now that they may be they're looking the most informed program, right, on the girls' side, in the 210 in the greater San Antonio area. So would definitely agree with you there. And then Midlothian, right? We have Ellen at 9, Midlothian at 10. Midlothian's kind of another one of those that just going about their business. Yes, they may have 2 losses, but also doesn't seem quite like they're getting, as much talk as you would think they would be. So yeah, we'll see what awaits them going forward in district play. All right, coach, let's round out the last of our top 15 here, 11 through 15.
And then you have another powerhouse, which Coach mentioned had a close loss to them was Prosper. Like I said, what can you say about Prosper these last few years? Can they finally? Like I said, they've been in some lists like the top threes and the top fives. Is this the year they kind of punch their ticket and get to Georgetown? They've, like I said, they're always have some consistent play, but when it gets to the playoffs, can they take that next step? So keep an eye on them. They're going to be a dangerous team. Another team that's coming out of nowhere at Region 1. I know Stephenville gets pretty much the noise there, but I think this could be Salato's year. They're at 19-0, and they may be the one that knocks off, like I said, Stephenville in Region 1 and gets to Georgetown and maybe even faces Salina in a final,
Mhm.
or in the semifinal. So we'll see. 13, I have Bernie. They recently had a loss against Davenport, a close one, but I think they'll bounce back. And I know when they play again, that's going to be a barn burner again. Like I said, they're probably in the toughest district for 4A girls soccer, and then A&M Consolidated. That's a team that's been very quiet and under the radar, and
Right.
in 5A, to go undefeated. They're in a tough district. You got Brian Rudder, a couple other teams there too as well. They may make some noise this year, and they may surprise some people. And I won't pass if they get to, like I said, a regional semifinal or a regional final. And then another team that's under the radar. I know, like I said, like your South Lake Carrolls, your Wileys, and your Prospers and your Hebrons get talked about, but Duncanville, at 14-0, they may throw a little monkey wrench in the playoffs, and they've been consistent, and we'll see how they do in the playoffs in a couple weeks.
Yeah. Yeah, I had to look at I had to look that up and double check that. I was like, "Man, Salato's 19-0?" And, yeah, sure enough. But yeah, Prosper, Prosper's Prosper. I think they're definitely going to be in the mix along with some of these other programs that we've talked about. And their part is, again, the region that they're in, who they contend with in their district is they're going to be battle tested. Bernie sitting there, sitting there at number 13. I think Davenport might have a question or a bone to pick with you on that, right? Seeing Bernie sitting there at 13, at number 13 at 13-1-1, but we see our first set of 4As that joined the mix here in both Salado and Bernie. And then I agree with you on A&M Consolidated there at 14. Very, very quiet, right? Very sneaky, right? So how much longer will they kind of be a secret? Not too much longer, we would think, but kudos to them. And then, of course, Duncanville there, who's they've really been putting together some consistency there in terms of their program as well. Some great athletes, well coached, and really solidifying a strong soccer culture, right? So, all right, now let's go ahead. Let's take a look at our next 5N, Coach.
So next 5N, not really in any order, but like I said, we have Leander at 14-1-2. I think they're going to be one of those teams that will contend for Region 4 5A. I know teams like Swinson Valley, Piper, even Bernie Champion, Canyon, even Alamo Heights are getting looked at. But keep an eye on them. They may be ones that you'll see in, like I said, in Corpus at the regional tournament. Another team, like I said, Georgetown, great run last year. They played a tough non-district schedule, but that's going to help them. And I still think they can make another run again. And maybe this is a year that they finally get to lift the trophy in their backyard. Ridge Point, that's another program that's been making noise the last few years. They're just going on their business, even though they have a loss. They're the ones that could meet coming out of Region 3. And then I have Salina. I know they had that tough loss, with Panther Creek, even though they went to it was a 0-0 and they went to PKs. I'm sure they're gunning for them on Tuesday. I think they get a win over there. And they took care of business. They took care of Anna as well. So I think they fixed whatever little defensive issues and offense issues. I think they're about to click at the right time. And then another team that's been on the radar that's it's a big surprise this year because normally their sister school, McAllen High, gets the kind of the accolades on there, but McAllen Memorial is having a great season, and Region 4, 5A kind of better take note on them and not take them lightly in the playoffs. And it's going to be fun when they see if they match up to maybe one of the teams from the 26 5A.
Yeah, definitely agree with you. Leander, just a very strong program. Will definitely be in the hunt there, right? Once we enter the second season. Georgetown as well. Coach Venegas putting together another great follow-up, because that was the question with them, right? Is with what he graduated, is what would they look like this year? And they've proven to be very strong and have played a very strong schedule. Ridge Point, of course, last year in the state tournament, still hanging around there. A couple of draws there that haven't, obviously not favorable, not ideal, I should say, for them. But then we got Salina. Man, Salina there. It's a good thing we had Coach Adams on before we had this, man. He would have he would have been fired up, right, seeing this and then coming on with us. So yeah, I think a mixed bag really with Salina. Don't put too much emphasis on those four.
Yeah.
It's who they've played and it's how they've played. So yeah, in my opinion, they should definitely be up higher on the board on this. But I get it. It's tough, right? It's a lot of great competition here. And then they're sitting there at number 5 of our next 5N, McAllen Memorial. I think I may very soon dub this program here on the girls' side as my El Cucuy squad right here, because they have the potential. They're starting to show some things that they could really throw a serious monkey wrench in Region 4. But more to come. But yeah, they're having what looks like a very special season. And you're right. I mean, traditionally it's been the sister school, right, in Mackay, but Memorial's kind of taking some of the press, right, some of the publicity. So, all right, and that's going to do it for the girls, and we move on to the boys here. Coach, let's start off with our first 5.
Yeah, the boys. One thing about the boys, like I said, there's not a lot of consistency except for maybe a couple teams, and when you get to district play, you do get some teams that get knocked off, or they get ties that they shouldn't get ties with, and so forth. And I'm sure you're going to starting to see, but then also you're seeing some teams that are starting to kind of rise to the occasion, and kind of get into the spotlight. But for the first five, we do have a new number one, which I actually had the pleasure of seeing them a few weeks ago. Pflugerville Conley is everything that like I said, I have them as number one now. Um, Great team. I mean, I was very impressed. I've seen quite a few teams play, especially in the San Antonio area, but this team is something special. I think if this is the year for them to win it's their time now. And top to bottom, I was impressed as far as how they attack, as far as how their back four plays, um, very deadly on set pieces. And
Mm.
and one of the games I went to when they played against Pflugerville High, the 3 goals they scored were on beautiful set pieces. So that's one thing you don't want to give up around the 18 or even within 35 yards, because they will put those away. Another team that's coming up is Austin Bowie, and remember last year they had a great season. They got knocked off in the first round. I wonder if they have that as a little chip on the shoulder. And like I said, normally Westlake and Lake Travis, and then like I said, you had Dripping Springs made it to the final last year, kind of get the attention. But can Bowie, bounce back from last year and and make that run that they should have? And like I said, I have them at number two, and then number three, I know they dropped. Is Katy Salmon Lakes? They had a tie with Katy High, which I think that game they should have won. Um, but like I said, I still have them in the top three. Still the favorite for 6A. Like I said, until they get a blemish on their record, as far as a loss, like I said, they're still going to be the favorite for 6A. Number four, another team that's kind of just working hard, and I think they're on a mission, especially with what happened last year. Is Bernie? They're at 10-0. They had a big win against Davenport. They got another game, tough one coming up. But as far as Region 4, 5A, excuse me, for Region 4, 4A, they're probably, like I said, Bernie's going to on the mission to win that region again. And then number five, I had Brownsville Rivetta, last year a regional finalist, still consistent, so haven't lost a game in that tough 32-6A. I think they should pretty much lock up that district title in a couple weeks.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Well, this one, unlike the girls, where largely I know you could make an argument, and I largely agreed with you, man. This first five right out of the gate, I was like, oh my God, what is Rafa doing here? But no, don't have no argument in terms of the validity of Connolly, right? Of Pflugerville Connolly. I think this is truly right now the head and shoulders class of 5A, right? But I don't know, Austin. I mean, Katie, please. Rafa. I just hope Rafa doesn't make a stop anytime soon, a pit stop in the city of Katy. Yeah, nobody's gonna buy him a drink there, right? Yeah, I think I hear you in terms of Austin Bowie. No disrespect to them, but I think right now Katy 7, like, yeah, they did get a draw, but also they bounced back.
Yeah, they bounced back. But that game against Katy, they should have won that game, and that's the expectation. You're state champion. That's the expectations I have for you. And that game they really should have not had.
So the question is, who did Bowie tie? Who did Bowie get the draw?
That was in the pre-district game, I believe. Pre-district game.
Okay.
Yeah. So and like I say, what weighs a little bit more is those district games. And like I said, Conley. I could have had Conley at maybe number two had Katy tie, because Conley did get a tie in district play against Georgetown, but they came back this week and beat Georgetown. So they avenged that that little one blemish.
Yeah.
And so that's how I kind of take that into consideration now. Right. Maybe in a couple of weeks, maybe if Katy 7 Lakes demolishes Katy, who knows to say they don't get back up to the top spot. So these are high expectations for these teams.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm definitely not making the argument in terms of the the validity of that. I think the difference right now, and it's not taking anything away from Bowie,
Yeah.
right? From Austin Bowie, because we know they play in a tough district as well. What we also know, right, is heavy is the crown, right? Heavy is the head that wears the crown with Katie Seven Lakes as the defending state champion, and we just know in that district is no joke as well. But we also know that they're going to get everyone's absolute best fight on every night as the defending state champion. But yeah, did they bounce right back from that draw? Absolutely. So yeah, I think this is a little bit more of, and Connolly's the other one where, do you recall? I'm trying to remember. I know it was definitely pre-district. Who was their draw against? I was trying to remember that one without looking it up here right now.
But the Conley draw, no, that was actually against Georgetown.
Was it? It was Georgetown, right?
It
Yeah,
was Georgetown. And that was the first district game, and I was a little disappointed about that.
yeah.
But they came back this past week, this Friday, and they knocked them off. So they avenged that little blemish there.
Okay, good deal. And I thought it was pre-district, to be honest with you, but
Mhm.
okay, makes sense. And then of course, Coach Strong, right, good friend of the show there, and has Bernie plugging away. I think they have reestablished themselves, right? Our first 4A group here that we see at number 4, and then Brownsville Rivera. Just I mean, just a power, an absolute, the pedigree, the power, looked to have one of their strongest programs that they've had in probably, we'd say maybe 4 to 5 years, potentially this year. Definitely going to be a player in Region 4. So, all right, let's go ahead. Let's take a look at 6 through 10, Coach.
So 6, I have Leander Glenn. Now, keep an eye on this team. This team has kind of came out of nowhere. I know last year Leander Rouse was the team, out of Region 4, 5A. I think Leander Rouse is now in that role, and they've been handling some teams too. So um, they could be your dark horse for the Region 4 or 5A title. Number 7, I have Austin Vandergrift, another great team from like I said, from that area. They're in that District 25 6A, also another tough district. I know usually 26 kind of gets the more of the attention, but
Yep.
Vandergrift's another program that's been very consistent the last few years. And then we have another 4A, Kilgore. Kilgore, I know Palestine gets the attention, but if you look at Kilgore, what they've done, they're having an excellent season. Could this be the year that they knock them off and get to Georgetown? And then number 9, I have Mesquite. A little couple setbacks as far as ties, but still a very dangerous team. And like I said, they're in that district with Rockwell Heath. Like I said, I'm sure they're still in title contention. And then number 10, and actually it should be Brownsville Lopez.
Lopez. Yeah,
Yeah.
I just saw that. Yeah, it's supposed to be
So
Lopez.
another strike for Lopez, but yeah, Brownsville Lopez is also kind of that 32 5A is one. Porter gets the attention, and really lately also Donald North is getting the attention, and Brownsville Veterans Memorial. But Brownsville Lopez, they've got a couple state titles, and they're pulling out a great season. And keep an eye on them. Like I said, you got some contenders there that can come out and end up going to Georgetown from Region 4 for 5A.
Yeah. No, that is a typo at number 10. No, it's not. Brownsville Rivera they're not so good that they're in this twice. Okay. So it's supposed to be Lopez at 10. So that's me on that one there. So my mistake, typo on my part though. But yeah, I agree. I mean, Leander Glenn, I saw this too. They were kind of like, who was it? Salado on the girl side, 19-0. I was like, man, 18-0. So, but as you know, right, some of the research has to go in beyond the numbers, right, beyond the record and beyond the wins and losses. But who have they played? How have they played? Right? How are they winning maybe in the matches that some of these programs have lost? How have they fared? Right? And then of course there's some of the tangibles or intangibles, if you will, where you don't always know the injury bug, sometimes the eligibility piece, and then of course just the nature of having club players is you don't always know who is missing for any number of reasons, right? So yeah, good group here. We talk about Vandergrift. Vandergrift has kind of been, I'm not going to call him under the radar, sitting there at 7, but I don't know. You would think just getting a little bit more talk coming out of their district. But yeah, I would definitely agree with you there. We got another foray in here in Kilgore, and then Mesquite coming along as well. And then we talked about Lopez at 10. So, all right, let's look at 11 through 15, Coach. Our last 5 here.
So 11, I have Frisco Centennial, like I mentioned. Usually Lone Star, Wakeland, or Radiator get the attention, but this year it's been Centennial, and I know they had a little couple setbacks as far as a couple ties, but still they're top of their district. Uh, Another program that's got a good soccer history has been Dallas Jesuit. They're 10-2-2. They're a very dangerous team there for 6A, and that's one matchup a lot of teams maybe don't want to face, in the playoffs. And then another one, just you got Flower Mound. Flower Mound's at 10-2-1. Like I said, in that brutal district with Hebron, Capel, Marcus. It's always a dogfight for that, in that play. And then the surprise out of West Texas was the Panhandle areas, Lubbock, Monterey. Just quietly at 14-0-1. They've got some big wins. They knocked off Abilene. They've knocked up Lubbock Coronado. Could they make some noise this year, in the playoffs? I know, interesting matchup. Probably, they could see maybe one of those El Paso teams, maybe like a Bel Air or Del Valle in either round 2. That'd be interesting to see that game. Keep an eye on them. And then you got Palestine. Palestine is Palestine, even though they have a district loss, a little hurtful one against Madisonville, but still, they're still, like I said, one of the favorites there in their region.
Yeah, an interesting group here in 11 through 15. Frisco Centennial again, and I know they were on your previous one as well, right? Or your previous RPI as well. So they've shown a little bit of staying power in here. Jesuit, of course, which is a 6A, not a 5A. Flower Mound as well, trucking along, and definitely a good surprise here, right? What we see in Lubbock, Monterey, and then Palestine. 2 losses, right, which is kind of not normal, kind of uncommon for them at this stage in the season, but they've also been putting themselves out there, challenging themselves as well. So, all right, so that'll do it for our top 15, and then now let's go ahead, Coach. Let's look at our projected next 5 in.
So next 5 in is, like I said, you have another Flower Mound team. This time, Marcus. Like I said, Marcus having a good season as always. Then you have Brownsville Porter, which is a game behind. They're already a game behind Lopez in that 32-5A district. Like I said, it's gonna be interesting when they play again in this next couple weeks. Allen, like I said, they've been in the RPIs, whether in the top 15 or into the next 5 in, staying consistent. Another one is College Park. I know the Woodlands gets a lot of the attention, but this year has been the College Park show. So keep an eye on them. And then out of the blue, a lot on the radar is the Cy Falls team. They're undefeated right now at 12-0-2, and that's a team that could end up making some noise in 6A, maybe challenge. They're in Region 2. I know Langer Creek gets kind of some Bridgeland and all them get the accolades there, but so far good for them, having a great season in 2024.
Yeah, so great group here, and this has kind of been a consistent group here that we've said that have kind of shuffled their way in or shuffled their way out into the next 5 in here, right? Porter, Marcus, Allen. Allen has been consistent. I know College Park you've been very high on as well. And then, of course, Cy Falls there, that's another typo there. They're supposed to be 12-0-2. They're not so special that they don't get 4 categories. Okay, so that's supposed to be 12-0-2. But yeah, no, great points. Any additional things you want to hit on, Coach, before we transition?
Yeah, I mean, there are some other teams, that kind of like within the mix and so forth. Like I said, the boys, there was a lot more changes than the girls because of everyone's kind of in the middle of the district game, so you're playing the other team's best, and like Steve said, yeah, Woodlands is one team that that's kind of challenging there to College Park, but College Park has had their was able to get them this season so far. But like I said, the rubber match is coming out soon. It's who's playing really consistent. It's now into the district play, and teams are not taking teams lightly and so forth. And I've seen it locally too. There's some teams in our backyard that are not, are giving their best. Like this week, I was in, like I said, I've been here in Del Rio, and Del Rio, like I said, played United South, and United South ended up winning that game in PKs, and they gave Del Rio the first district loss. But then days later, Laredo Alexander beat United South in PKs too. So each team's gonna get not gonna roll over. They're gonna give their best, and you're gonna have your occasional upsets or your surprise ties in these district games. More so in the boys, not so much as far as with the girls.
Yeah, and one of the things, something that I wanted to hit on here that I wanted to mention is having seen them up close and personal, right? Very up close and personal recently. A team that I think, a group that definitely needs strong argument that needs to be in here because they are a different cut, I think, is out of the greater San Antonio area. Here is Alamo Heights on the girls' side. That program they are very, very good, very strong. And Coach Sharp looks to have potentially what could be one of his better teams, deeper teams that he's had in a while, right? So keep an eye on them. I think that needs to be a program challenging to be in here in the RPI, and of course is I think going to do some serious out of 27-5A. And full disclosure, obviously very familiar with them being in the district that my squad competes in as well, having seen them very close, and got to share that. But I also share that to show kind of, or to indicate that the validity, the credibility, I think, of that program. So yeah, another program to keep your eye on is the Alamo Heights Lady Mules. So anything to add to that, Coach, on the Alamo Heights side? Because I know you got to cover that recently as well.
Yeah, I had them close. They're like within that list of, if there was like the next 10, they would be on that list. And, they're just on the cusp of breaking in. Who knows, by the next one, they probably will break in the next 5 or in the top 15. Yeah, we'll see how, some of these district games come up. And then also even on the boys side, there's some really good teams coming up. Yeah, we mentioned the Brandeis boys is kind of hitting their stride. You have other teams, out west. There's one in particular in 4A boys is actually the San Angelo Lakeview Chiefs.
Right.
They're having a great season. Haven't played as some of maybe the tougher teams yet, but the thing is they're actually winning their district games. They're doing well, and we'll see what they can do in the playoffs. And like I said, who knows? You may see them coming soon. I think there was another one, Amarillo Caprock. I think they were undefeated too. They just beat a real good Amarillo team in district play for the boys.
Yeah.
So you got some, like I said, some teams are right there. They're about to kind of sneak into the possibly the next 5 or in the top 15.
Right. All right. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna move on. It is time for our weekly selections, Coach, of both our teams of the week as well as our game balls. And we're gonna go ahead. We're gonna start off with you, Coach. Go ahead, take us away here.
So my two teams of the week for the boys, because I got to see this up and close and personally. Pflugerville Colony. I mean, what more can you say about them? I mean, I was just literally impressed. The years I've coached high school soccer and the years I've watched, I've seen some really good. One of the teams I kind of, put up there is to say, are they good, just as good as this team as one of the teams I saw years ago? Was like that. Actually, it was Bronzo Rivera's 35-0 in team, talent wise, and this Conley team,
2015 team, 2015.
Yeah, 2015. This Conley team is probably just as good as them. Maybe a little. I think Rivera had a little bit more, but this team, what can you say? Very smothering offense that they press you and they make you do a lot of mistakes, but their back four has so much chemistry. They don't panic. They're kind of they're smooth. They know how to play from the back, and what the dangerous thing about them is their set pieces, whether it's corner kicks or free kicks. They're a very dangerous team, and like I said, it was a pleasure getting to see them, and talking even to some of the fans there. Like I said, this is like I said, this is going to be one of the teams to really watch to see if they can get back to the final, and hopefully they for sure want to lift that trophy up this year. And then another one is the A&M Consolidated girls. Like I said, so far they've had a great season. They're doing, what they're supposed to be doing. Um, could they be the one that maybe challenges Georgetown because they're in the same region?
Right.
They may be the one obstacle that prevents Georgetown to game back playing in their backyard. So those are my two teams of the week, and then my game balls. And I gave it to Daniel Saldivar from Crowley High School. I think he had, I think, 5 goals in the game this past weekend.
Man,
So
that's it.
great
That's
job.
the best you could do, huh, Daniel? I see. So, no,
Yeah,
great job. Great job.
and
Crowley,
then
right? Great job. Great job.
Melina Diego from El Paso Andres. She had some multiple goal games as well too. She's turning it up there in the El Paso region. So keep an eye on her. So those are my two game balls awards for the boys and the girls.
Right. Awesome. Good deal. Good deal. And then for me, so I'm going to go ahead and highlight a couple here really quick. So, teams of the week for me, my selections, Huffman Hargrave coming off of a big win for in their district. It was a battle for first place versus East Chambers. Came out with a big win for them. So congratulations to them. And then in 26, you might want to check me on this one, Coach. 26 6A, I believe, Buda Johnson and Coach Banning's got him. I think he's got them believing they're playing extremely strong, extremely well, have been very consistent in that very tough district, right? Lake Travis, Anderson, Westlake, just to name a few, and they're in there sitting there. I think a point, maybe 2 points behind Lake Travis, and this has kind of it's an interesting district because you're seeing some interesting, some teams knocking off others, and then you're also getting some draws, some favorable draws. And they just had a draw recently with a very strong, a very good, very well coached Anderson squad as well. So this is a team that I think I remember you and I, Coach. We saw them. What was it? Maybe about 2 years ago, right? Versus Elmo Heights. This program,
Mhm.
I think it was 2 years ago, and this was a program that looked very lost, right? Just kind of trying to figure things out. And now, now they surged, finished strong last year, and they've followed it up with a very consistent season so far this year. So I think they're being well coached and they're playing extremely well. And yeah, I think more to come. Just keep your eye on this Buda Johnson
Yeah,
squad for the girls.
yeah, I think
And
they're in
then
second place right now.
correct, correct. That
So
I do know. I'm just trying to remember how many. I think they're like 1 or 2 points off from
yeah, they're one
Lake
point away
Travis.
from Lake Travis. So that's gonna make it
And then Coach
interesting.
Yeah. And then Anderson is right on their heels, though. That's how
Mhm.
tight this district is, though. Anderson's right on their heels as well. So, and then my game ball awards, what would be our all name roster here, right? Ryder Mosqueda, love that. Out of New Braunfels, had 2 goals, 1 assist, right, in a big victory over San Marcos just this past week. And that was really to try to get sole possession of third place, separate themselves from San Marcos. So he came up big for them. Love that name, man. Ryder Mosqueda, love that. And then for the girls, Mia Serrano from El Paso del Valle, who just hit the century mark, right? Just hit 100 career goals yesterday, actually, and also had 5 goals in a big win over El Paso Isleta. So congratulations to Mia Serrano as well. Big kudos to her. Kudos to Ryder as well. And then our teams of the week. And again, we mentioned that this is one of those where we put these out every episode of Inside Texas High School Soccer through the state playoffs. We will have these, and excuse me. So we will continue to have these. So be on the lookout for these. And if you want to send these nominations, we normally will ask for these. We'll ask for these typically about a day to a day and a half before we go confirm the next episode. But still, one of these things where if you have coaches, if you have some student athletes that are coming up big, playing out of their minds, defenders as well, our goalkeepers as well, reach out to us, let us know, share insight with us, and because we'd love to consider them for our teams of the week as well as our game ball awards. So, and I did have one other, by the way, that I did want to mention, kind of a little tribute here to our to our friend Harry, who brought up a great point. a honorable mention game ball award, kind of sort of a game ball award, I guess. So to Mila Stubbs of Piper High School, their goalkeeper, who also a multi-sport athlete, who just this past weekend finished third place at the UIL Wrestling State Championship. So congratulations to her. Quality goalkeeper as well. I've seen her play in goal. So congratulations to Mila finishing third in the UIL state playoffs as well. So great job. Anything to follow up on that, Coach?
Well, sure. When she don't want to get tackled by her when she goes 1v1 in the box. So
yeah, I don't want to go. Yeah, I don't want to go against her. But yeah, no, that's pretty awesome. Any opportunity, any chance we get to highlight specifically, right? Multi-sport athletes, absolutely love it. We're definitely going to mention you here. And of course, our good friend Steve, who wasn't available to join us, hasn't been available to join us yet this season, but mentioning Jordan Matthews from San Antonio Taft, who recently hit her 100 career goals. So great program, great player, and UTRGV, very lucky to be getting her as well. So any other thoughts, Coach?
No, I know big game for her on Tuesday. They got Brennan.
Yeah.
So that's going to be a big one there. So you're going to be there in San Antonio at, I think, the Northside Grass Fields. I believe at 5. I'm not too sure.
I thought I saw the early game. I thought I saw it was the early game. Yeah.
The early game, yeah. So that's gonna be a great matchup. You know, that has some district title implications right there.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And that's Coach, that's gonna do it, man. That's gonna do it for episode 4 of Inside Texas High School Soccer. It's I know we had a little bit of technical difficulties getting started, and then I know you had some mic issues, but a big thank you to Coach Alexander Adams of Salina, the Salina Lady Bobcats, joining us here to discuss his district as well as Region 2. Our next episode we're trying to see if we can turn this around and have the next episode out sooner, and maybe the next 2 weeks or so. Episode 5 of Inside Texas High School Soccer, where we will highlight our Region 3 overview. We'll come out to you with the latest state RPI rankings. And who knows, we might put out an updated RPI rankings sooner, just on social media as well. Before we typically like to roll them out on our shows here, but if Rafa, if Rafa's feeling like he's got them locked in, we'll release them earlier as well. And I just I wouldn't advise Coach stopping in Katy anytime soon, right? And maybe not until you release the next RPI, right? The next RPI, but who knows? Maybe Austin Bowie, they might take care of you and buy you a drink there, maybe. So, or Pflugerville, maybe. So, no, thank you. Yeah. We appreciate all the hard work and the legit research that I know that goes into that. We talk about it a little bit as well, but Rafa divvies up a lot of. If I could only show you the spreadsheet he's got going on with this, it's pretty good. It's pretty awesome. But yeah, and then of course, thank you, Steve, for being able to join us on here for a little bit with at least a couple of comments, and then our good friend Harry, who we always appreciate everything he does. Make sure you check them out on the San Antonio Soccer Roundtable. When you get another show coming up this week, right, Coach?
Yeah, Thursday I'll be live from Round Rock, actually. So I'll be driving up from Waco to Round Rock, and I actually will be unveiling the new RPIs for the San Antonio area. So I think there's going to be maybe a new number 1 for the girls, and I guess there's some big matchups coming up this Tuesday. So I'm just waiting to see how that goes, and send those out, and then also same thing with the boys too. So, and I use kind of the same formula like what I do with the state rank. San Antonio ones I use kind of the same pound for pound. I don't divide them up in 4 different sections or whatever, and it's all the teams and that play in the San Antonio, are in San Antonio area districts, like from 26 to 29, maybe. Those are the teams I include in that. I don't include no Austin teams or something like that. So I do have like a little radius on what I do on that one.
Good deal. And again, make sure you check them out. San Antonio Soccer Roundtable Thursday. You said, right? Thursday.
Yeah, Thursday. Yeah, should be about 7:45.
Okay, awesome. And again, be on the lookout. We will be mentioning hopefully soon our next episode of the 50/50 podcast, in the middle of trying to working with some college coaches, some pretty great college coaches, some great names of great programs that were just, it's a scheduling thing, right? They're prepping for their spring seasons. I'm in the middle of being in season as well, and then we got all our team, right? That's kind of all over the place. I know Steve attended four games on Friday, right? Covered four games. So big kudos to him as well. And love what our team is entrenched in something, either whether it's coaching, covering games, interviewing somebody on another podcast as well, but heavily entrenched in the game, and supporting you all, trying to support our communities, our coaches, our student athletes as well. So grateful for all of you. Coach, final thoughts, stoppage time. What do you got?
Well, I want to say thank you to KWMC AM 1490 here in Del Rio for having me commentate the live commentary with Memo for the Del Rio versus Laredo United South boys game. So, and then we talked about about the 50/50 podcast and SA Soccer Roundtable, just to kind of, because they do watch. So appreciate the support and all that for having me on there today.
Yeah.
And then also, like I said, looking forward to this upcoming week. There's some interesting games. I know hopefully I'll be out there on one on Saturday. Where I'll be, I'll kind of keep that on under wraps. But I think that this one's going to be a doozy, and hopefully I'll be able to commentate on that game.
Good deal. And that was what again? KWMC? Is that what that was?
Yeah, AM 1490 here in Del Rio. So
There you go. Gotcha. Awesome. Great deal. And good deal. How did that go, by the way?
Oh, that was a fun game. I think I saw the if Lethal's watching, I think I sent him the copy of probably the goal of the month for March, and I sent him a little clip, and he was just in shock about how this was scored. So
Was this the bicycle kick that you sent?
yeah, that's a bicycle kick one. Yeah, that was probably one of the most beautiful goals I've seen in a while. Because I was mentioning to him about, because he Memo had asked me, like, what kind of goals when I coached there, like what's probably the most incredible goal. He says, well, that's one of them there, but that's probably in the top five. And like I said, probably my number one was on my first year coaching there. One of my players, Luis Arias, he scored a free kick from about 60 yards out in the goalie against Clark, and
Nice.
keeper didn't even move. So, so brought some memories there with coaching there and so forth. So it was fun, but it was fun having them there. So I want to thank them again for having me on there, and good luck to the season too.
Right. Absolutely. Awesome. And for me, I was going to say my final thoughts here is really just wanted to share many districts, not all districts, but many districts are already in there or started this past week their second round of their district play. So continue to stay the course. But the big thing that I wanted to hit on is stay eligible. Hit the books. Make sure you're taking care of business academically in the classroom. Because again, the greatest ability is availability. And excuse me, if you can't even set foot on the field because you can't stay academically eligible and you're not getting it done in the classroom, you're unfortunately, not only are you not going to be any use to your teammates or your coaches, but ultimately that is the driving force in terms of if you want to play at the next level or just in life, right? Academics. So make sure that we're getting that taken care of. And so I want to wish everybody the best there as we start the second round of district play across the state of Texas. Hit the books, make sure you're taking care of business in the classroom again. And then also a few weeks away from a eligibility check as well. That's the other reason why I mentioned that, but also a few weeks away from spring break. So making sure that we're staying safe, right? That we have a plan. And of course that staying focused. You worked this hard. Many of you have worked so hard. Don't kind of let it go when there's another break from school. Don't kind of let it go to waste. To make sure we remain committed, self-disciplined as well. So that's a great way to honor your programs, honor your team, your teammates, honor your coaches as well. So, but yeah, that's going to do it. Coach, thank you again. So for Coach Rafa, Mr. Papa Sakaritis, I am Coach Hector Cano. and really appreciate everything you do in support of us, in support of the podcast. And we always mention you're the reason why we do it. You are the reason why we'll continue to do it. And until the next time, you know what to do. Keep downloading and keep listening. You've been listening to the 50/50 podcast, powered by National Scouting Report. Help us continue to grow by liking, rating, and subscribing on all major podcast platforms. And don't forget to follow us on Twitter at 50_50pod, on Instagram at 50_50 podcast, as well as on YouTube at the 50_50 podcast. Until the next time, keep downloading and keep listening.